Welcome inside a special episode of On the Board. The gang is back together. I'm Colby McKee. Across from me, Lance Dahl.
Hello.
Hey, Chief.
On a little stick mic.
He's going
like,
solo mic
like
there.
Bob Barker.
Beside me is Cory Bukowskis.
We gotta get a mic sock for you.
That's true.
Nice little
That's okay.
Brandon one. Hey, how's it going, man?
Good, man. And across from us in studio, Tigers' longtime assistant coach, Joe Frazer, joining us today.
Hey.
Good. Thanks so much for joining us today, man.
It's good side effects there.
Yeah, you're
Side
welcome.
effects, yeah.
Big budget.
The levels are booming with that one.
Big budget.
Let's start with, I guess we'll go back to your days in Brainerd, Minnesota. How does a kid from Brainerd, Minnesota make his way up north to Medicine Hat? That always interests me.
Yeah, it's it's a different story, but so the Tigers used to go down to a hockey camp I used to train at. It's called Minnesota Hockey Camps. It's right in my hometown, so trained there my whole life, and Willie's good buddies with the owners of that camp, so he'd bring players from other teams as well, but local kids and some of our guys down there, and they saw me when I was 17, and John Stompar was actually at the same camp, so he came up at 17, and then they came back the year after and talked me into it, so that's how I got up here.
And as a younger guy, do you picture the WHL as an option, like when you're maybe 10, 12,
No,
13
not
range,
in
like not
Minnesota.
even no, not at all.
Honestly, I didn't even know what it was, the Western League. I still think when you go down there now, a lot of people still don't know what it is. So it's Minnesota's kind of like its own little bubble. It's really not part of USA Hockey. It's kind of its own thing. There's not really AAA. It's mostly high school hockey. So it's kind of a different brand, but it's mostly NCAA. I didn't even know what World Juniors was really. Like we don't really get that down there. But I didn't really know what the Western League was. And then once Stompar came up here, he was one of my good buddies, and he talked to me about it, and it was just a great option with the scholarship program.
And so when you kind of weigh your options being in Minnesota, like it's wild to me that like even just the concept of World Juniors doesn't necessarily or didn't necessarily exist. I would assume now, like with exposure and how well the USA program's done, that kind of changes things to an extent. But just what's that culture like? Because you're making it sound like playing hockey and growing up in Minnesota and with the culture there, it's almost like an island within the country.
Yeah, I think so. I think even when you watch World Juniors at, where was it, Buffalo, like it's not sold out or anything. So I don't think it's that, not big of a tournament as it is in Canada, obviously. Like Canada's, crazy, week and a half for that tournament. But when you grow up in Minnesota, the biggest thing is, you want to play for your high school team. The biggest thing is getting to the state tournament. You get to play at the XL Center.
Yeah.
And if you watch, like 19,000 people are watching high school hockey. It's a totally different atmosphere. Grow up, same group of kids. I played with the same guys since I was 5 years old. We're still real close with those guys. The school spirit, like the high school games, we used to get 2,000 fans at our games, student sections. So it's very school-based, like the alumni programs are it's just very school spirit. So you want to play in your high school team, and then the biggest thing is trying to get a scholarship to play NCAA.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Growing up in Minnesota, obviously you had a lot of exposure to the North Stars. They were, they had a little bit of a heyday down there. Did losing them, and then I guess the subcoming question is like getting the Wild back in the early 2000s. Did that have an effect? Obviously, not just high school hockey, but obviously going to the college ranks and whatnot. But that sort of effect with Minnesota hockey in general.
I don't think so. I think the biggest difference between a Canadian kid growing up and a Minnesota kid is the Canadian kid is dreaming about the NHL, where the Minnesota kid, I think we think about the NHL, but our biggest dream starting out is playing for the Gophers, getting a scholarship to be a Gopher, or playing for the Sioux. I think that's probably the biggest difference. And then once you get older, high school ranks, and you start seeing the college guys play pro, I think then you might start thinking about the NHL more. But growing up, it's the big ticket is going to your high school games, watching those guys, like they're your idols, watching the high school players, and then every Friday, Saturday, watching the Gophers, like they're televised. So that's that's kind of the dream starting out, is being a Gopher or Sioux, because you always get to watch them on TV, and those are, kind of your idols growing up. So when I was growing up, the Wild weren't there till I think I was 14 that they came back. So, but that, they've been sold out. They're obviously very popular in the state. The state loves hockey, so it's it's great to have them back, and So, but that would probably be the biggest thing between Canada and maybe Minnesota, just the different avenues that you're dreaming about hockey-wise. Trying to get that free education while playing hockey.
And it's such a rarity to have a hot spot for hockey like Minnesota. There is such few markets in the States that you can, dream of playing for your university team. And it's such a big deal. Like you said, Minnesota, it's huge. It's absolutely.
So it's funny. So Bobby Fox, our head scout, went down there 2 weeks ago to watch some of the Bantam kids in high school games. And I just asked him because I want to know how good it was compared to whatever, the Alberta Midget League or BC Midget League. And he said it's just as good, if not, it's right there with them. So it's it's great to know that Minnesota hockey's doing well, and we just gotta, I think as a league we have to sell our league a little better to a different avenue for them, because I think the Western League, the scholarship program the Western League provides, I don't think NCAA can match it. So I think a lot of Minnesota kids would be interested in it. We just gotta get down there and make sure we're trying to sell it and do our thing with it.
I'd almost say with the expansion of the Winnipeg, or the relocation of the Winnipeg Ice, it almost maybe opens up that state to maybe you see the Tri-City Americans, like that whole U.S. division.
Yeah.
There might be a Minnesota team coming up in the future, maybe, possibly.
That'd be interesting. I think it's such a hotbed for NCAA hockey, and they got such a hold on it that it'd take a little doing to get a team in there. I don't know how much the NCAA guys would like that, so there would take some doing. But I think, like I said, I think the Western League with the scholarship program, how good it is. First of all, the on ice product, it's something a lot of Minnesota kids would look into, and we just got to keep trying to recruit kids.
So what's perspective for you like now, considering, when you grow up and you want to play for the Gophers or the Sioux, and then you get exposed to the Western League, and now you've been with the Tigers organization for at least a decade now, where's your goal to go to? Like, is it still to kind of go back and fulfill that dream of now being a part of a staff of, say, Gophers or the Sioux, or is it just kind of, we're here now, let's just see where the road takes us?
Yeah, no, I'm totally sold on the Western League.
Yeah.
I've totally switched. All my buddies played NCAA. I have nothing against it. I think it's great hockey. It's a great life experience. When we recruit U.S. kids, I always tell them that. I think it's important they know that I have nothing against NCAA. I think our program, in Medicine Hat here with Willie, it's it's as good as it can get. You get the scholarship, but also what we can provide on the ice, off the ice. So we try to sell them on our program. But for me, I've definitely switched. I think like I said, with the scholarship you get, the practices, the workouts, who you're playing against, it's as good as it gets as a 16 to 20-year-old.
Yeah, no doubt. And I don't want to dive too far into it, and you don't have to disclose as much or as little as you want, but it's like, they'd be crazy, the team, the Tigers, would be crazy not to use you in the marketing of the team for those American players, right? Like, you've got to be in on those conversations.
Yeah, definitely. It's, each year gets more and more, so,
yeah.
It's one of those things it takes time to recruit some kids, and, hopefully, we can keep chipping away at it and get a couple more good kids up here.
Mm-hmm.
Taking it back to the high school days, in terms of you as a player, we seen you play here in the old arena. But as a high school player, how did your skills translate to your move up to the Medicine Hat? And what kind of a player were you back in Piers? And obviously something within the Tigers caught their eye to bring you up north.
Yeah, well, I put up more points than Brainerd.
No, you had all what, 13 goals?
Hey, it was 18 though.
Okay, that's more than I did.
You're a point per game in your last year there.
Oh yeah, hey, 1 for 1. Great stats.
Yeah.
No, it's I was, always, relied on my speed and work ethic. I was never the most skilled guy. I think the thing that allowed me to play at the next level was my work ethic and my speed. I took a lot of pride in trying to win the hardest worker award each year, and that's really is why I kept playing or got the opportunity to keep playing. So I definitely wasn't the most skilled guy, but basically willed my way here.
Yeah, it's 18 more goals than any of us have scored here in this room. So,
A little bit back on the opportunities to play with Minnesota, the universities and stuff like that. Did you have those opportunities? Did universities or college
Yeah, so after
approach you?
my grade 10 season, I got a full scholarship to University of Nebraska Omaha.
Okay.
It's in the CCHA. Now they realigned the conferences, so it might be WCHA now. But
They were a Div 1 school. They are a Div 1
yeah,
school,
they're
though, right?
Div
Yeah.
1. So
Okay.
it's it was great campus, loved it. The coach who recruited me worked at that hockey camp I went to, the same hockey camp the Tigers saw me at. But yeah, I was all for it. And then the team I was with in the USHL, the Omaha Lancers, their coach went to the Gophers the year I was supposed to go in there, and then the coach that recruited me to UNO, he left that same summer that Willie came down, and so Willie kind of talked me into coming up here.
Okay.
I'm just trying to think, like, because I remember when you came into the lineup with the Tigers, and you were coming in at a time where you were that prototypical player that the Tigers were kind of built around. I mean, it was nothing but hard work from everyone top to bottom, and it was never, for the majority, the most skilled guys on the ice. But when you had the unit that you guys had to play night in and night out, you were tough to beat. And so it's like, when you kind of look back on your years playing with the Tigers, like, does that theme kind of stand out the most when you look back at the playing days?
Yeah, we had some great guys. Wasey Hamilton, Colton Grant, Brett and Cameron. All the guys who are just, blue collar, love to go to the rink and love to work hard for each other.
Well, that's the thing. Like, those are all, like, two-way guys that throw the body a lot.
Yeah, it was a fun group to play with. And then we had, the one year we had Ennis in his 19-year-old year. So we had enough guys with skill who could score. And then, we had a lot of guys who, just loved playing for the boys and, blocking shots, hitting, really just using your speed and trying to outwork teams. That was, Wasey takes a lot of pride in that. Brent Cameron took a lot of pride in that. Colton Grant, myself. So it was, then we had guys who could score like Lyndon Bay, Tristan King, Tyler Ennis. So it was a good balance.
I mean, you had 2 second-round playoff appearances during your time with the Tigers. I guess we weren't on the ice down in the old arena days. What was some of those playoff games like, and just the atmosphere as you're making a climb towards that Mem Cup run, which unfortunately fell short, but still, like the impact and the memories that you have in those playoff rounds?
Yeah, it was unbelievable. It was so loud in there. The fan support was always fantastic. That first year we beat Swift in 7, and I remember going into Swift Game 7. There must have been 500 Tiger fans in there. So it was they traveled well. Just the atmosphere was incredible. Before the game, you could hear the noise already before warm-up started. So you drive in actually to the parking lot and guys are pre-gaming before tailgating. It was it's a nice spring day because you get nice weather here. Start of April, and it just got you amped up. So it was pretty special to play in the old arena. All the history there, it's crazy.
Yeah, you mentioned that you were one of the hardest workers, so you weren't necessarily on the first line every night. What was what was one of the best moments maybe that you've had, like maybe a big goal or like a big hit, or in your Tiger days? What would it be?
I think the biggest moment was winning Game 7. You always want to win. So winning Game 7 in Swift was pretty special. I think Ennis had like 3 or 4 points that night, so that was fun. Watching Ennis score 6 points against PA that night, that was special. I think just winning is why we do this. So anytime big win in the Saddle Dome or Teddy Bear Toss, those type of games, and there's 18,000 people in the Saddle Dome, and you can beat them. It's those kind of things are special. But you obviously remember some of the goals that he scored. There wasn't many, so I don't have to remember a whole lot. But Yeah, you remember some of those, but I think the biggest thing about junior hockey is the time spent away from the rink with the guys and camaraderie you have, and you make lifelong friends, and it's something special to show up to the rink every day and work your tail off with the guy next to you and for him, and it creates that bond that lasts a lifetime.
Is it tough, and this isn't to disparage the Canalta, but it feels like it's two different worlds. When you look back to what the arena was like, and when you see now what the Canalta feels like, is it hard as somebody who's been now in both scenarios and been at ice level?
Mm-hmm.
Is it almost difficult to imagine what it would be like in the Canalta if it was jammed like it was at the arena each and every night? Because unfortunately, it's just not something we've seen.
Yeah.
At the Canalta Center, where it's been, top to bottom, just packed.
Yeah, I think the best we saw was that Lethbridge series.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Game 7 was
Yeah.
they opened up the upper bowl there, and it felt really good. I agree with you, Lance. It'll never get to that because we talked about with Shane Brown in another interview. Like they were overstuffing, like fire crews were over capacity. Like it'll never get that way.
It could only hold 4,000, right? So. Even now, if you get 3,300, if the rink only held 4,000, it'd feel packed.
For sure.
Yeah.
But now it's so big that it doesn't feel that way. But I think it's just totally different. I think the amenity is top notch.
Yeah.
Like the weight room is incredible. Our area is just unbelievable. I think we had a Winnipeg scout come through, and he said it's nicer than what the Jets have. Like our area is unbelievable. So. From a player standpoint, the off-ice stuff is top notch, and like you guys said, it'll be tough because you got to fill it if it's going to feel like the arena, because the arena was always pretty full. So that'll be tough. But we got great fans. We get hopefully 3,000 a night. I think it's right around there, and it's pretty consistent that way. So out in the community, the guys are noticed and recognized. So. The town of Medicine Hat does an unbelievable job supporting us.
Just speaking on, former teammates of yours, how often do you, keep in touch with some of them? Is there anybody or a couple people that, you've kept in touch with more so over the years?
Yeah, it's always nice to see Tyler Buns up in Edmonton now, and then hung out with Carsey the other day, Thomas Carr, when we went up to Edmonton. It makes it a lot easier when guys move back to the towns they're from when we go and play them to hang out. Touch base with Lyndon Bay once in a while. He's over in Russia, and then Wasey Hamilton comes in. Training camp most of the time. Kilkessie, Jace Coyle once in a while in Calgary. So yeah, it's you just create that bond, and you just pick up where you left. Like doesn't matter if you've seen them in a year or 5 years, it's just pick up where you left off. So it's nice.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I guess a little bit transitioning into the coaching, still kind of a question for the playing days and coaching. Obviously, Willie Desjardins. You've played under them, and also you've worked with them. So, how different have the two experiences been, and also how are they really similar?
Yeah, I don't know how different it is. I mean, he's just an unbelievable person to play for and work for. I think the biggest thing about Willie is he makes everybody feel important. He gives you a role, and then he kind of lets you go take charge of it and do the best you can with it. So, no, he's been unbelievable to work for. Learned a lot this year from him, and I'm real privileged to have worked with Shaun and now Willie. I've had two great guys to work for, and very, very blessed that way for sure.
Who hates losing more, you or Will? Because I've seen the elation after wins. I've seen the frustration after losses.
You can hear the frustration when he does the fourth period report with Bob.
When Joe does not want to go do the fourth period with Bob, but has to go do it anyway.
Absolutely.
It feels like he's doing a service, and it's a nice thing.
Bob knows that too, though.
We all appreciate it, by the way, when you still get on the mic after a tough loss. It's great to still get that perspective. But you hate to lose, and I know Will hates to lose.
Yeah. That's a good question. I think maybe I voiced it a little more. Will hates losing more than anything, but I think he's good at burying it a little
internalizing.
bit. Yeah.
He stiffens that upper lip a little bit and gets a little tight.
You can tell he's upset, but he won't let it out. I think he's more mature than I am, probably. So that's probably why. But
there's nothing wrong with being vocal when you're pissed off.
I think that's the that's why we work so well. We just love winning. And
Yeah.
that's that's what goes into every decision. Is
I should
what's
throw
gonna help
Smitty
us
in there
win.
too, though.
Oh, Smitty,
Like, Smitty
yeah,
hates to lose too.
for sure. Like you don't play or coach if you like to lose.
Yeah.
It's not at this level. You can't. We're all ultra competitive, and that's what goes into every decision. Is how are we going to win? Is this going to help us win? If not, then we're not going to do it. If it's going to help us win, then we have to do it.
You spoke about Coach Clouston and the fact that, like, in your 10 years as assistant coach, you've only had those 2 head coaches. I guess the continuity of the messaging from both of those gentlemen, not only just for the players, but also for you guys as a coaching staff, how important is having that continuity with both of those guys and the messaging that they're trying to get across for everybody in the organization?
Oh, it's huge, and I think Willie and Shaun obviously work together, and then Shaun and myself, and then me and Willie, with other guys in between there as well. But you have to be on the same page. You can have, doesn't matter really what systems you're running or the structure things. You have to be on the same page. So there's a million ways to break the puck out or run a forecheck, but if not everyone's on the same page, then it's not going to work. And only when you get everyone on the same page that it works. But it starts with the top down and that messaging, like you said. But we've been fortunate. We've had unbelievable players who are great leaders. So the head coach sets the tone, and then as assistants we got to relay that message, and the leaders take the coach's message into the dressing room, because the leaders that's their dressing room. They they run the room, and so if you can get the leaders on board, and they'll get the rest of the team on board. The rest of the team will follow. So yeah, that's probably the number one importance when you're running whether it's hockey team, football team, doesn't matter. You all have to be on the same page.
100%.
Looking at that 20-year-old year, that transition from going from player
Do you have to?
we don't have. I don't want to
No, I'm
get into
kidding.
too many specifics, but but like, whose idea was it? You mentioned the scholarship program. One of the reasons why you wanted to get to the WHL. So what made you, forego that, like not go to a university, and take that coaching role in your 20-year-old year?
So, played the game, and then talked to the agent. Was going to get released. So that was definitely the hardest. Like, besides deaths in the family, that was the hardest week of my life,
Right.
for sure. Fortunately, we had a great leadership group who accepted that I could, step in and be one of the assistant coaches. Wasey and Carzy and Coiler, they did a unbelievable job. Seeing that transition through, and obviously I didn't try to coach Wasey, so dealt mostly with the younger guys when I was that age. But yeah, I always so I actually I could have went down to Kansas City and played in the Central League. Didn't really want to do that, so kind of figured I wasn't going to play in the NHL at that point. Always knew I wanted to coach growing up after my playing career, and what an unbelievable opportunity. Not many 20-year-olds get an opportunity to coach in the Western League, so I figured, talking with my family and agent there is, I just think for a life decision, it was the best decision for me at the time, and I would do it, 1,000 times over. I've been very blessed to, obviously the Mazers offered that to me, and very, very fortunate for that. Owe a lot to Brent and Darryl, and very appreciative of that. But yeah, it's been an unbelievable 10 years, and very fortunate.
Right, yeah, and you can look at it one of two ways. You can be upset that a
Yeah.
team cut you, or you can feel motivated to start a 10-year coaching career, right?
Well, I got a head start than how many people get.
Exactly.
I'm 30 years old. Well, in May 30, and I've coached in the Western League for 10 years. Not many people can say that. So it's, but again, owe it all to Brent and Darryl. Like, very fortunate that they saw something in me, and I can't thank them enough.
It's impossible to know exactly when the comfort level started to set in, but those first couple years have to be a little bit difficult because, I mean, it's a completely different role from being a guy that you're going to battle with every night side by side to now you're in a more of an authoritative role, quote unquote, like just how it's perceived.
Yeah, you got to be smart about it though.
Yeah.
So first year is mostly dealing with like Basinius, Brado, Volke. They're young guys, working with skills with them and trying to, kind of be a sounding board for them, because it's your first year in the league. It's tough. Like, it's like nothing you've ever done before. It's way harder than midgets or high school, or the practices, doing schoolwork. It's a grind. It's really hard. So that first year is more of a mentor role for the young kids. Then the first 2 months, my second year, was real similar to that. And then, Shaun let me oversee the penalty kill. Started about October, November. So that was more of the start of it. And then, I had to be smart about it. I'm not going to go yell at the guys, right? Like, you gotta feel your way through there. So there's definitely some learning curves along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some ups and downs for sure. But like I said, it only worked because we had guys like Wasey and Jace, Coiler, Carsey, the next year Bunzy and Emerson, Conan, like, who had that respect for me because I played with them, and they knew how hard I worked on the ice. They respected that, so it was an easy transition just because of the players I played with. They're such good people that they made it work.
Yeah, I will say kudos to you, because that's like you make it sound like you have to be smart and that's easy, but you also remember you're 21.
Yeah.
And it's a completely different role. That's easy to go real self for a lot of guys. So like that's impressive to have that kind of like wherewithal in order to kind of understand, okay, this is the situation, and to be able to navigate it the way that you have to this point. Like that's impressive.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I think it's knowing when I play, when you make a mistake, you know that, right? So it's just feeling your way through. You have to just figure out when some guys need to be talked to and some they don't need it. So it's all feeling that out, and it's a learning process for sure. I've screwed up millions of times, so it's our players will tell you that. But it's it's been very fortunate that when I first started, the players I played with, they're such good people. They made it work.
You've seen hundreds of players come through over your 10 years as an assistant coach. Off the top of your dome, is there some guys or a couple of folks that come to mind that you just the development of their skills, not even just on the ice, but off the ice, as people that have really caught your eye and I guess give you a little bit of satisfaction, a little bit of proud coaching,
Like
I guess.
Proud dad.
Yeah, kind of. I know you're only 30, but still, like, you've seen a lot of guys come through.
Number one is Tyler Lewington, for sure. He's the hardest worker I've ever seen. He came in at 17, and so when he's a defenseman, so when he would get the puck, he would try to, he wouldn't really look at the seam or the middle. He would try to fire it up the wall mostly every time. So to see him go from that to he spends hours in the gym, and I mean like hours in the gym, and he just willed his way to the NHL. So watching him play for Washington last year and a couple games this year, it's it's incredible to see where he came from at 17, but knowing how much work he put in off the ice, he's a special person. I think Mark Rassel, at 15 he came in, he was he was a little cocky 15-year-old, and he left at 20 being one of the most mature kids we've had, and I haven't seen a kid go at 15 where he was to how much he grew up in that time. He's a special person as well. But yeah, there's lots of great ones. Mason Shaw was great to work with. Dave Quinville obviously had a fun time with him. He's seeing what he did, putting up 300 points as a defenseman. It's always fun just texting those guys when they're seeing how they're doing in pros, and I think Dylan McPherson's another guy, hometown kid, just to see how far he came. He started with us at 18. See how much work he put in with Bruce Forrester down at Temple, and to see how much he's grown. Seeing Curtis Volk come up from midgets. There's a lot of guys. So it's like you said, you're just real happy for him. But you see how much work they put in off the ice. And I think that's what fans don't get to see, is just how much time these kids put in, these players, and to see them get rewarded, it's pretty special.
It's a great kudos to you guys as a coaching staff once again. Just the number of guys that you have, transitioned to that next level. That's what it's all about. And the fact that you've just listed off a handful of guys, there's so many more over your 10 years that have made that jump. And you're taking them to where they want to get to, and that is another big kudos.
I don't even think it's pro. I think the U of A guys this year, like Cox, Sanford, Kirchenko.
So
It's like
many-
half their team
Yeah,
is
there's so many Tigers on there. Yeah.
So texting with Kirchenko last week because he made the first team All Star. Like that's outstanding.
Yes,
And,
it is, yeah.
Sanford made second team All Star. So that's just it's great to see guys succeeding. Once they leave here.
So now that you're a coach, I know the U.S. is a little bit it's still a little bit weird in that they started the U17s, they picked their best players. Basically, 95% of those players go onto the U18 team, and then at the U20s, that's basically their team within a couple mixed players. I'm wondering.
Program.
Yeah. The coaching staff for that. Do you have any interest, or is it even a possibility to get on with some kind of national team? Do you have any interest in that? Or even
I think that
Canada? Do you have the possibility?
I can't do the Canada because
No.
I'm not a citizen. But,
Okay.
So I'd have to do the U.S. Like World Juniors would be awesome, but I think right now it's just I'm not really in a rush to. I have the best. I tell people I have the best internship you can have. Like I'm working under Willie Desjardins, so I gotta keep doing that as long as they'll let me learn from him. And no, I really like the spot I'm in, but you're always looking to move on and up, and the next goal would obviously to be a head coach. Hopefully at this level, or junior A, or maybe USHL back in the States. But pretty happy with where I'm at, and who I get to work with Willie and Ryan and Samit and Maddie. We got a great staff, so it's been a great year, and it's been a lot of fun.
Only because we got about somewhere in the neighborhood of 10-15 minutes. I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about this season. Actually, Colby and I just the other day were talking about the games over the weekend and how they were opposite in results, but also they felt opposite in terms of style of play almost. So the game against Spokane, just because you beat Tri-City, that's great, good job. But playing against Spokane, to Colby and I, we thought that was one of the best efforts that your team has put together all season. Would you agree?
Yeah, for sure. I think the whole, as a staff, we talked about it. We haven't been playing up to our potential the last probably 3-4 weeks. It's been hit or miss. Win one, lose one, stuff like that. But yeah, I definitely agree. The Tri-Cities game was a win, but it wasn't Tigers hockey. But Saturday was. We felt we deserved a better fate. We played well. Is the intensity, the physicality was there. We were fast. I think we created 37 scoring chances we had count. So, just unfortunate we could only score one. But their goalie was outstanding. Made some huge saves. But we play like that. We'll beat a lot of teams. But yeah, we were a good Saturday. That
second period, more specifically, I have not seen this season the guys buzzing around that net like I've seen. They were relentless against the Spokane goalie. It's just obviously it comes from you guys, leading the charge with the messaging. But that second period when obviously they didn't get to score until late, but that is the type of hockey you guys want to continue with these final 11 games here in the season.
Yeah, and you said the word relentless. That's what we talk about all the time. We want to be 4 lines, 60, and it's just wave after wave, relentless speed, and we think if we can do that, it's hard to skate with us for 60 minutes. So, I like that word to use because we use that all the time, relentless.
Good.
Yeah, and I think that game specifically, it's easy to, especially at the age they're at. I mean, they're still teens. I think people really forget about that.
Yeah.
But 2 periods of it not working, and it's you maybe come out in the third and it's well, it's just not our night. But it seemed like we were getting scoring chance after scoring chance. I mean, they only got a handful of shots in that third. What does that speak about?
3,
Yeah, what does
4.
it speak about this team that even when it's not going, we're still trying?
That's really important because it's really easy, like you said, to get away from the game plan when you're not getting the results. The process is there, but maybe the results aren't showing up that game, and that's all leadership from Hamlin, Chazowski, Lochner, Clayton, Gavlis, Plouffe. Those guys, like I said before, the coaches have the messaging, but the leaders, they run the room, and so when those guys are on board and when they're saying the right things in the room, then everyone else will follow. So that's just great leadership by our captains and assistant captains.
Forgive me, I'm trying to scroll through because we were talking, I don't know, about a week or two, maybe even not that long ago, about like I ended up just doing some digging on just goal differential since the Prezuzzo and Longo trade, and one of the biggest things was that it almost seemed like when Plouffe and Svikovsky came into the lineup, there was just a little bit of necessarily not the same defensive structure that was before they got there, but it seems like over the last few games that structure is starting to come back in waves a little bit, and we're starting to see that again. Like, are you seeing that same kind of upward trend as a team defense rolling into playoffs?
Yeah, I think it's hard, right? Because Plouffe played in Vancouver for 4 years. Lucas played there for 3, and so it's just, when you come into a new team, it's learning that, because it's totally different styles,
100%.
us in Vancouver. So it's definitely an adjustment and learning curve for those two. So it was, a lot of meetings, a lot of one-on-ones, a lot of video trying to teach and get everyone on the same page. Like I said, everyone has to be on the same page, and it's starting to come. And there was that 3-week stretch there where Lucas was outstanding with Hamlin and Hoppo, and we switched lines up a little bit last game. But Plouffer's been excellent. So like you said, I think it's starting to come back now. I'll agree with you. There's a little stretch there where it wasn't totally on the same page.
And I should say, like, I'm not saying that Longo and Prezuzzo being gone and Plouffe and Svikovsky coming in are the reasons why everything.
No, yeah,
flipped. I shouldn't say that.
No, I think we are a better team with those two,
but
definitely.
It's just two different guys, and it's just learning. It's just getting everyone accustomed to each other too. Different cultures, different systems, different everything. Billets. It's a big adjustment. Like Cory said, they're still teenagers, so
100%.
it's a big life change in life for Dylan and Lucas. So. I think they've been outstanding. They're really skilled, and they bought in, and it's gonna be exciting because they were both great playoff guys for Vancouver last year, and that was a big part of it. Just I think Dylan had 16 points on his playoff run when they went. They lost Game 7, and Lucas had 13 points. So it's they're playoff guys, and we're excited for the stretch run here.
Speaking of defense, obviously the backbone of any great defense is your goaltending. How would you evaluate how Mads and Guerin have done so far, and what are you looking for from them heading down the stretch and obviously in this first round and beyond?
They give us a chance to win every night. They're both outstanding goalies. I think coming in this season, I wouldn't have guessed Guerin would be 18-5 right now. It's not a lot of times you get 18 wins from your supposed backup.
Right.
So he's been outstanding. Mads is coming on. His confidence is growing each game, and I think the last 4 games he's been really good. Probably, before last game, I think the 3 games prior to that was probably his best 3-game stretch of the year, and he's starting to feel it. So no, we're real blessed with the 2 goalies we have, and very fortunate.
Do you guys look ahead much? And like, it's the last 11 games of the season. Do you guys look ahead a couple weeks or at the bigger picture, or are you guys just focused on the next game?
Well, I'd lie to you if
Yeah, exactly.
The standings are, obviously it's human
Exactly.
nature. You gotta, just take a peek, but you can't let it affect you really. It's
Right.
We have to take care of our business. There's only so many practices left, only so many days you can get some workouts in. So there's only so much time here where we can get better. And we have to use that time wisely, whether it's practicing, working on things, watching video, having meetings, workouts. Or giving the guys rest. That's important this time of year. It's a long season, and bodies are tired. So just weighing that out, and right now we're only focused on Regina for Friday. That's the honest truth. You look at the standing once in a while, but you got to worry about the next game. That's the most important. We're in a dogfight, so. We just saw Regina beat Brandon the other night. They took Edmonton to overtime Saturday. It's there's no easy games in this league. It's like you said, they're teenagers, so anything can happen.
2 more from me. You said, what do we have? Guerin at 18 wins this year?
I think so, yeah.
So when you start the season, I'm going to assume, and you don't have to divulge it, but I would assume there's a plan in place for roughly how many starts you think, or how many games you think each goaltender is going to get into. You kind of have a plan or a benchmark at least. Has the play of Guerin kind of changed that mindset the last 11 games?
I think the way Guerin played the first half and, really all season, he's earned more starts.
Yep.
He's been outstanding. The game in Winnipeg, the first time we went there, the first 10 minutes, I think they outshot us 10-1, and we came back. We won that game 4-2. But if he doesn't play the way he does the first 10 minutes, it might be 3 or 4-0, and we don't win that game. So he's earned more starts just by the way he's played. So that's like I said, he's played really, really good. So he gets more starts.
And the last one, outside of obviously you want to win the last 11 games because that's why you're playing the game, but what's one aspect that you want to see from the group the last stretch of games before playoffs?
The 60-minute effort like we had Saturday. We got to get back to being relentless for 60 minutes, whether it's the goals are going in at the time, but we have to stick to the process and really bear down here and just make sure we're playing 60-minute hockey every night the next 11, because the points are crucial. We got Regina, Swift, and then weekend with Calgary, Edmonton. We got a weekend with Lethbridge home and home. So a lot of big games left, and the stretch drive. These points are crucial to try to get home ice.
Hey, you've been looking down the schedule a little bit, rattled that off pretty quick.
I said I'd take a peek.
Last one for me. You just spoke about basically all these teams that are right and around the playoff seeding. You talk about the Hurricanes; they're 4 points back. Hitmen are only 2 points behind you guys. I guess just have you thought about a potential playoff series with any of them? Obviously, locally, we probably want to see a Lethbridge. That would be an intense rivalry.
Fans would love it.
Fans would love it. I don't think the team would, but who knows? But yeah, like just those potential matchups, and then if for any sake and reason we cross over to another division, that's also in play, I guess.
All 8 teams that are gonna make playoffs are tough teams. So whoever we play, it's gonna be tough. Whether it's Edmonton, Lethbridge, Calgary, PA, Winnipeg, Brandon, Stoon, it's all those teams we've had success against, and all those teams have beat us as well. So it's whoever we play, we just have to make sure that like we've talked about, we're on the same page. And if there needs to be adjustments, we make them. But we're just excited to have that opportunity. That's what we've been talking about all year, is playoffs. That's why you play. And so it's nice to have clinched, and now we can really bear down and make sure we're fine-tuning our game.
I got the last one here. All right, I guess just big picture. We talked a little bit about it. What's next for Joe Frazer? I mean, it doesn't have to be next year. It doesn't have to be 5 years from now. I mean, where do you want your goals and your future to line up? Is it NHL? What do you want in this life of coaching?
Yeah,
of coach. I didn't want to go that dramatic. Of coaching, of your job.
Shit, that got deep real quick. What do you want out of life?
Yeah. Well, no, it's to win a Stanley Cup. That's why we do this. So
right.
It's there's just going to be a journey along the way, and just like all the players, all the coaches want to coach in the NHL. That's the ultimate goal, and that's the dream, is to win a Stanley Cup. So couldn't do it as a player, so now we got to try to do it as coach.
Tigers back in action. Home and home series with the Regina Pats this weekend. Friday in Regina, Saturday back home here at the Canelta Center. Get your tickets online, Ticketmaster.ca, or at the Canelta Center box office. Joe, it's been a pleasure having you in studio.
Yeah,
thanks so much for coming in.
Appreciate it.
Best of luck
Thanks,
for the rest
man.
of the
Yeah,
regular
it's fun.
season. And there you go.
Yeah.
Get that sound in there. For Lance Dell, Cory Bukoskis, Joe Frazer, Colby McKee, signing off. I'll talk to you next time.